What are some of the key things that were happening in the Corinthian church?
Well, let's go back to the biblical theology and comparing Scripture with Scripture. Things that we know are part of worship service as far as Paul is concerned, that are also important to him elsewhere. Probably, I don't know, I'm thinking, this is off the cuff, but I wonder if they fall into two categories. The being in Christ and being submitted to Christ, but building each other up in community as well. That we can talk about the particulars and the way that works out in the Corinthian situation, but knowing Paul from the rest of his letters, those are things that he keeps coming back to. You're in Christ rather than where you were. There's something new about your experience now. And perhaps that's where he runs into trouble with the Corinthian contextualization. They were trying to do the Lord's Supper, which should be an indication that they are in Christ and are participating in something that Christ set up. They are trying to do it in a very Greek style way. They had their own meals with teachers where they celebrated the teaching and shared meals, and the people who weren't quite in the same class as the people who shared the meal could sit outside and listen in. And the Corinthians were trying to contextualize their worship and their celebration of the Lord's Supper too much, so that it was no longer about Christ in the same way. So the being in Christ is central. But they were taking on speaking in tongues and speaking prophecies and things that were Christian. They were taking on for their own self-benefit. And Paul's saying this always needs to be for the building up of the community. And I think that's something that we can see as well. So I don't think Paul was a worship leader, but come back to me.